After their final battle, the great hero and the demon king lost all their powers. Time passed, and Blade enrolled at Rosewood Academy with one goal in mind: to make friends and live a normal life. Blade becomes friends with Ernest, the top student, as he helps her break a curse. He also befriends Sophie, a mock version of himself created to be a replacement great hero. At Rosewood Academy, Blade quickly devours curry, leaving his friend astonished by his enormous appetite. Ernest reminds Blade to mind his manners as he has food on his face, but her concern isn't necessary as Blade's new girlfriend, Sophie, kindly wipes it off with a napkin. Witnessing the romantic connection between Blade and Sophie, Ernest feels jealous and intervenes to discourage their affectionate behavior. Meanwhile, Claire and her group approach Ernest, asking if they can join them for lunch. Ernest agrees, considering both Jessica and Claire her friends now after they all spied on Blade together. Jessica proudly shows off her new outfit and asks for Vlad and Claire's opinion. Claire feels a bit embarrassed, but it appears she doesn't need to worry since Blade has never been preoccupied with their fashion choices, and that remains true now. Ernest informs Blade that Claire and her friends have also been promoted to advanced classes, just like him. Chazson explains that the girls are now allowed to wear clothes of their choice due to the promotion, which is why they showcased their new attire. Jessica once again seeks Blade's opinion on her appearance, but he feels she looks quite chilly. Leonard takes it upon himself to be Jessica's savior, realizing that Blade doesn't recognize her flirting. He compliments both girls, comparing them to princesses, and introduces himself. However, the girls don't hold him in high regard. She proceeds to ignore Leonard, as she always does, and shifts the conversation to whether Blade has heard about the headmaster bringing a monster to the academy. The students become frightened, fearing that the monster will be used for their training. Ernest confirms their assumptions, but Blade remains unfazed, calmly finishing his meal. He shares that he's encountered thousands of monsters throughout his life, and this doesn't bother him. Ernest questions why he's so unbothered, and Blade explains that he knew the king, who is also the headmaster, would do something like this to challenge him. Nevertheless, he's confident in his ability to defeat any monster barehanded. Suddenly, the Rosewood Academy shakes, causing chaos in the cafeteria. However, Sophie realizes it's not an earthquake but the shockwave from the monster's movements that Ernest had mentioned. She suggests evacuating the building, and Blade agrees. But before he can leave to confront the monster, the dragon arrives in the cafeteria. It reveals itself as a yellow dragon. Despite Ernest's repeated warnings to back away, Blade remains composed and approaches the dragon with a smile. He notices the dragon is hungry, which is why it came to the cafeteria. Blade decides to calm the dragon down, skillfully jumping over it and knocking it unconscious with a single punch. Ernest cannot believe Blade just beat a dragon unarmed and wonders if she is just seeing things. Blade tells her that this monster is technically not a dragon yet, as it is just a child. After calming down the dragon, Blade asks the dragon if it was scared because it got dragged here, but the dragon looks at the food again, implying it's hungry. So Blade offers his meal to the dragon, and after eating the food, the dragon lets off an aura, as the food is quite spicy, while Blade laughs at the spectacle. Everyone else wonders how a person can be so overpowered, and Blade realizes that he is getting all the attention. So he tries to tell everyone that what they just witnessed is completely normal and claims that most of the magi can also be as strong as him. But the students don't believe him, as they have realized that Blade is abnormally strong. Seeing their concerned faces, Blade tries to tell them that the dragon he just beat is neither a great dragon nor an ancient dragon, but he doesn't understand that everyone is in Saitama like him and that they could just beat a dragon with one punch. The students even start backing off, thinking Blade is dangerous, and that makes him quite upset since his only goal in this academy was to make everyone his friend and not to show off his powers. Behind Blade, the yellow dragon undergoes a remarkable transformation, turning into a girl with blonde hair. Blade is taken aback to witness the dragon's disappearance and the sudden appearance of the girl. Even more surprising is when the girl jumps onto him, calling him her papa. She expresses her longing to meet her father and hugs him tightly. However, Blade is confused and insists that he cannot be her father. Despite this, the girl continues to refer to him as her papa, and Blade assures her that he will help her find her lost parents. Curious about the whereabouts of the dragon, Blade asks Ernest, but she tries to explain that the little girl before him is the dragon in human form. Blade finds it hard to believe something so unnatural. The persistent girl keeps calling him her papa, so Blade urges her to be quiet, concerned about his reputation in front of the entire academy. He then turns to Sophie for confirmation, and she assures him that the girl is indeed the dragon. Blade finally believes her and asks the girl if she truly is the dragon, but instead of answering, she jumps on him again, wanting to play. The girl affectionately refers to Blade as her papa and praises his earlier attack. She continues hugging him, asking him to spoil her. Later at night, when Blade is inside his dorm trying to take a bath, he also helps his daughter. He begins to wash off her horns, calling her by the name Ku, and she asks him why he is calling her Ku suddenly. Blade explains that Ku is the name of a knight who is strong and dutiful and who always keeps his promises. Ku turns around and tells him that she also keeps promises, as she believes that the oath of a dragon is more precious than life itself. Ernest comes into Blade's room without even knocking and gets embarrassed seeing him taking a bath with Ku. She tells Blade that all monsters, including dragons, are creatures who always pursue power. So, according to the information she found, Blade defeated the dragon, its body perished, but a part of its soul remained to retain information, and that part of the soul is Ku. But that doesn't explain why Ku is referring to Blade as her father. So, Ernest explains that the part of the soul gets reborn into another body, and then they will imitate the form of the being defeated them. Ernest believes that it's the dragon's instincts to see people who are stronger than them as their parents and a part of their evolution as they grow stronger. In other words, Ku has taken the form of a human after being beaten by Blade, who is also a human. Still, the chances of that happening are quite rare according to Ernest, as there aren't many humans who can defeat dragons in the first place. Blade understands that Ku is calling him her father as he was responsible for her rebirth. He accepts his destiny and introduces Ku to Ernest, who reveals herself to be taking a shower together with Blade, and that makes Ernest furious, realizing what a shameless degenerate Blade is. She kicks him in the face and immediately leaves his room as she no longer wants to see his face. Later, in the cafeteria, Ernest's anger flares up once more upon spotting Blade and Ku walking together. Ku asks Blade to treat her to some food, but he jokingly suggests she get it herself if she's so hungry. Nevertheless, considering her young age, Blade decides to feed her. Ku enthusiastically proclaims her love for being fed by her father, finding it far more delightful than eating alone. When Claire expresses a desire to feed Ku as well, Ku dismisses them, calling them mere humans unworthy of sharing a meal with her papa Blade. Blade advises Ku not to insult Claire anymore, but Ku insists that she should be the sole focus of his attention. She gives him detailed instructions on how he must take care of her every single day, and Blade agrees to fulfill all her demands. However, Blade's friends start calling him degenerate for taking advantage of a young girl. They unanimously believe he's guilty of wrongdoing and decide to punish him by ignoring him. Blade is confused and hurt, not understanding why his reputation is tarnished, and why his friends no longer want to be around him. He remains isolated, sulking in a corner. At the training grounds, the other students notice Blade looking eager to join their class, but Ernest believes he doesn't deserve to be with them anymore. She even threatens to punish anyone who supports Blade. Ku happens to come by the training grounds and sees Blade there. He invites her to join him, and she eagerly accepts the chance to spar with her father. However, their training session is interrupted by Claire's group, who are unsure of what to do on their first day in the advanced class. Blade provides them with proper instructions and inquiries about their specializations. Jessica mentions her expertise in espionage, and Blade suggests she train with Sophie as they would make a good team. As Blade continues advising the others, he notices that Ku has left the training grounds. Wondering where she went, Blade becomes concerned about her whereabouts. Meanwhile, Ku is aimlessly wandering around the academy and comes across a group of low-class students practicing their swordsmanship. They invite her to join them and even ask if she wants to be their friend. However, Ku hesitates, believing she wouldn't fit in as a dragon. Feeling unsure, she runs away and accidentally collides with Blade, who happens to be nearby. Blade then escorts Ku back to their room. Later, Blade expresses his sympathy for Ku, knowing that she has been alone since her birth. However, Ernest firmly reminds him that he can no longer play house with Ku, a fact that Blade is already aware of. Blade notices Ku gazing at the moon and stars and asks her if she desires to have friends. However, Ku insists she is better off alone, a sentiment with which Blade agrees. The following morning, Blade arranges for the king to become Ku's foster parent since he knows he can no longer play the role himself. The king agrees, but Ku runs away, longing to be by Blade's side. Concerned, Blade starts searching for her and finds her playing with dolls in his room. He realizes that Ku wants to be friends with his friends and yearns for everyone to be her friend, just like they are with Blade. This realization makes him feel sorry for her and blame himself for not noticing her feelings earlier. Blade understands that both he and Ku share similar goals, and he becomes determined to help her achieve them. He seeks Ernest's assistance, and she willingly agrees to help. The following day, Ernest visits the training grounds of the lower-class students and requests a favor from them, to fight Ku together so that they can eventually become her friends. The other advanced class students also kneel before the lower class students, agreeing to participate in the fight. The king officially arranges the battle, and Ku appears in her dragon form ready to fight. Blade advises her to fight fairly before the battle commences, and she becomes determined to showcase her strength, bringing this episode to a close. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment for more of this series. Thank you all for your support.